Hey, what's up everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Okay, so I made a video just now. It's about 25 minutes long and then I had to cut it off abruptly. So I don't think I'm going to upload it. But what I will do is recap some of the things that I talked about already. The first thing I want to talk about was an Obi Toppin pick last night for the New York Knicks, I believe at 10. They took a power forward. He could turn out to be something really, really good. But the problem is they needed a point guard and Halliburton was sitting right there having fallen. So they let him slide. And they really needed someone who was going to help them kind of pass the rock around, have some cohesion about themselves, a Ricky Rubio type of player, someone who can just get the ball everywhere, make it so that other guys are better. They already got enough forwards. They already got Robinson at the center spot. They got Barrett at the 3, and they have a couple guard opportunities. If they don't like who they have at guard, they would be able to upgrade, I think, pretty easily in this draft. And they did not. So taking Obi Toppin, while he may be a very good player, his metrics are good, his athleticism's out of this world, he's electrifying, he can shoot. So those are very, very, very good attributes, but it speaks to them not really having the understanding of what they need to do for their team immediately. But some would say you just take the best player on the board regardless of fit. If Portland would have taken Michael Jordan and ignored the fact that they had Clyde Drexler, clearly that would have been a better decision than ultimately what they did. So that's one way of looking at it. You never know how these players are going to pan out. Their power forward situation was a little tricky because they had paid so many people from that position last year to the point where it was just kind of laughable. They just kept picking up forwards. But some of those guys are going to be off the books very soon. And I'm pretty sure they can trade one of them. So there may be a role for Obi Toppin after all. Maybe they can get creative and try to find a point guard some other way. But it just seems like it would have been so much easier for them to just draft Halliburton. And no one would have been mad at them for drafting Halliburton because of the fact that he had fallen. And really there was no reason for it. Guys just passed on him. The Bulls made a surprise pick and took Williams at 4. And I think everybody else was in love with who they were in love with and weren't going to just reach for Halliburton just because. So he had fallen perfectly to the Knicks. They needed him, and they, I guess, were in love with Obi, despite having the circumstances that I had just described to you. So really, your head scratch about the Knicks. You just don't know what they're thinking. But what you do know is that Obi Toppin is going to electrify. What you do know is that now the Knicks have somebody that Knicks fans are going to love. And you can't say they've had that too many times in the recent past. So hopefully the front office does the right thing and kind of creates more of a cohesive roster for a change. Because we know historically they have not chosen to do so. So there's that. The Knicks being the Knicks. The next thing to speak on is, I guess, the Bulls, but it's not much more to say other than the fact that the Bulls really did take a player they could have traded down and gotten. Williams was a bench player in college. His numbers were like 9 and 4. He's known as an athletic defensive player. Okay, but with the 4th overall pick in the draft, you got a lot of talent on the board, a lot of guys that you can argue should have been taken there, and they passed, and that might be okay. But the problem is, when you do that, you are neglecting the value of the draft pick itself. And there are many, many GMs all over the league trying to uphold the value of a draft pick. So it's kind of like people are trading this and trading that for draft picks, trying to make it make sense depending on the value of the pick. And then you got people like Chicago taking guys they could have got at 9, at 4. It's like, what the hell are you doing? But here goes my never-ending conversation about how these GMs don't really understand how to play the game a lot of times. They don't have number crunchers. They don't have people that help them understand how the game actually works. They may be good at putting basketball teams together or evaluating talent, but the game of the NBA, particularly how the NBA maneuvers, is a science all to itself, and understanding that science is very, 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 very essential. And that is what we are seeing here. Guys who don't understand science of NBA basketball maneuvering, and they are making bad decisions. Simple as that. So that is one thing that we saw there with the Bulls. More of that. But the kid can turn into something. But yeah, enough of that. Charlotte, love what they did. They got themselves a center, which is what they needed, and of course, they got LaMelo, somebody that I've been following since he was a young fella, somebody that I think is going to be better than his brother, even though I'm a big fan of his brother too. And I think Michael Jordan may have made the best draft pick that he's made in a very long time, if ever, maybe ever. But you also know that Charlotte has a nice infrastructure already in place with maybe about 2 or 3 players that we really, really want to keep an eye on in Bridges, Washington, and Graham. And you add Ball to that mix, that's a nice little foursome there that you can feel excited about. And of course, again, they did draft a center as well early, I believe in the 2nd round. Maybe he turns into something. Until then, the guys they have at center right now probably can hold them down. And I like what they got. Charlotte is a team that I'm paying attention to. They are officially on the map. I think they changed their culture the same way that Atlanta changed their culture when they drafted Trae Young. Things will never be the same. I think Ball is that much of a box office player. And not only that, but I think he's in a box office role. That's the beauty of this situation. I don't think there were many places LaMelo could have went and had the opportunities that he's going to have with the Charlotte Hornets. This is one of the top 5 best fits for him in this entire league, in my opinion. So he lucked out, even though I know he's not going to love Charlotte. His father did a fantastic job of making sure he goes all over the world before he turns 21, and lived in some of the most humbling basketball situations already. So going to Charlotte is not going to be the worst thing that he's experienced over the last 2 years. And quite frankly, I think he's going to enjoy it. Not only because he's going to be playing with some youngsters that are going to make him look good, but he's also going to be playing for the greatest player to ever play the game. And to me, from a super far, it looks like Michael Jordan is making some changes as a person. That his health center that he's doing, things like that, it just seems like he's kind of changing for the better. Starting to get more active in his community. I think, that Kobe passing away kind of humbled him in a different way, made him show a vulnerability of himself that he had never shown to the world before, or hadn't shown to the world since some tragedies hit in the early 90s. So you definitely respect the things that Michael's been doing, and you want to see him succeed as an owner and as an exec, because he's made some terrible decisions in the past, and he's still the GOAT. Mike is still the GOAT, and I want to see the Charlotte Hornets get better. I remember the Charlotte Hornets when I was a kid. I had a jacket, you know what I'm saying? They had one of the better brands in all of the league at one point. So it's not like this is a team that can't draw. You just got to get that feeling back, and that Grandma Ma, that Alonzo Mourning, that Muggsy Bogues. That was a vibe. You feel me? I'm gonna be honest with you. That team didn't win, but they were a straight vibe back in the 90s. And those who remember. So I think Melo's gonna bring some of that feeling back. I really do. I like that move for them. On the other hand, Anthony Edwards to Minnesota. Y'all know how I feel about that. I uploaded a whole video on that. I thought they shouldn't have drafted him. They did. I think they will regret it. I don't think it's going to be because he can't play. I think it's going to be because he doesn't want to. And that is the bottom line. Hopefully he proves us wrong. He's a heck of a specimen of an athlete, so it's not a question about whether or not he's going to electrify or have his moments. But the desire to get better has to be there, and he's going to have to be self-motivated in a place that just doesn't really do nothing at all for young talent. But like the Charlotte Hornets, like the Atlanta Hawks, they do have all-star talent, potential star talent, or whatever you want to say about Karl Towns and D'Angelo Russell. Those are real players in my mind, and they just added another really, really, really good, potentially fantastic player. So the infrastructure's there. We'll see what they do with it. We will see what they do with it. Yeah, good luck to them. The Golden State Warriors did not overreact to the devastating news about the potentially season-ending Achilles injury to Klay Thompson. Nothing has been confirmed about his status at this point. we are still waiting for good news, and I'm praying very, 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 very much so that he can recover from this injury quick enough for them to salvage their hopes for the season. Golden State, Clay, they don't deserve that. They don't deserve that, and I was really, really hopeful to see him coming back doing what he does. So get well soon, Clay, and kudos to the Golden State Warriors for doing exactly what they should in drafting Wiseman, because he did land to them and stay in the course, which I thought probably was their plan all along. I thought that there was a couple of players in that draft range that could have been a good fit for them, but ultimately I really do think that they did the right thing for themselves last night in Wiseman. What else? My favorite pick of the night came from the Phoenix Suns, personally. Not because I was familiar with the player, because I'm not, but his makeup, how he was described, and the way that they got his value at 10 I thought was just the best thing for the Phoenix Suns. You know, he's a stretch 4 who can block shots. I think his name is Craig Smith. I could be wrong about that. Like I said, I'd never heard of the kid. But when they started expressing what he does, it was exactly what I felt they needed. A 4 that plays defense. Because Ayton, though he can play a little defense, is not known for being a defensive anchor in the paint. And I may have even mentioned this in my video yesterday before the draft. They could use someone next to Ayton that could score the ball from range so that he could have the ability to move in and out himself, because he could shoot a little bit and likes to play in the paint a little more than somebody like Joel Embiid. He's not completely in love with the 3, but can shoot it. So you wanted your 4 to be somebody who's not going to clog the paint, but somebody who would be very active on the other end. And that's exactly what they drafted at 10. So I'm extremely excited for the Phoenix Suns. I think he's the exact type of player that Chris Paul loves, because Chris Paul can find him all over the court. If he's a stretch 4, Chris Paul's going to make sure he gets the ball in these spots that he can score from. So he's a perfect complement to their offense. They already have great spacing with the shooting on their floor. He's only going to make that even more deadly. I think the Phoenix Suns got significantly better last night if he can step in and be a starting 4 for them. Now, they don't have to have him start, but ideally they want a starting 4 that does what he does. And since they drafted him at 10, I think there's a chance he can end up being their starter before the end of the season. I don't expect them to start him at the beginning of the season, but by the time playoff time comes around, I hope that kid is good enough for them to start it, and that he does exactly what they said he does. Because if he is that type of player, whoa. I mean, JJ, Jaren Jackson Jr. is who that remind me of. If he turns out to be something like that, if they picked up a JJ Light, whew, scary. Phoenix is the real deal with Chris Paul and Ayton, and of course Devin Booker, their superstar. It's going to be a super improvement. I'm talking they're going to be a top 8. They're going to make the playoffs, I think. I think that draft pick changed things for me if he turns out to what he's supposed to. It turns into what I think he is supposed to be. So yeah, I think that could be a great pick for them. That's my favorite pick of the night. What else? Philly did some good things yesterday for themselves. Extremely good things. First of all, they got out from under the Al Horford contract, which was just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The next thing they did for themselves is they got rid of the Josh Richardson contract. Josh Richardson's a nice player, but he wasn't that nice for Philly to be making the money that he was making. They didn't have the role for him. Dallas has a much better role for him. And they brought in shooters. Danny Green, our very own. We know all about Danny Green. Anybody that watched the Lakers or watched the Bubbles knows what Danny brings to the table. I don't have to even make a video about that. And they also brought in Seth Curry. Seth Curry's one of the best shooters in the league. He's from the Curry clan. Remember I was talking about the Hornets being a vibe? Their dad was a big part of that. So, yeah, definitely paying attention to what they've done. I want to make a separate video about what I think about Curry being on this team from a outside of basketball standpoint, because it speaks to some other things that Doc Rivers has been a part of that people didn't really like so much. But that's not what this video is about. I think just from a fit standpoint on basketball floor, Seth Curry is a seamless fit A perfect fit. He is the quintessential player that you want next to Ben Simmons. There are not many players in this league that I think are better suited for Ben Simmons than Seth Curry. So that is a tremendous acquisition on the basketball floor, and at a price that you can definitely appreciate. Definitely getting salaries out of there, that was a good thing. Had to get rid of picks, but the Thunder's eating up everybody's picks. In order to get rid of Al Horford, I should say, excuse me, they had to get rid of picks. That's just, you're happy to give away picks if it gets you out of that $81 million hole that he provided. And now they have money to give to someone else. I still think they should go after James Harden. I do. I think Philly should be making a hard push toward James Harden. But they helped themselves. And they also picked up Ferguson from the Thunder, a young player that I really like a lot. So I think Philly did some good things. They had a great night. Detroit had a great night last night. They picked up some youngsters in the middle of the first round that I think are going to help fill out the depth of their team. And so they really did some good things as well. And I am really intrigued by what the Pelicans did as well, even though, they are log jammed, similar to how the Knicks are log jammed at power forward. The Pelicans are now log jammed at point guard. But they picked up a speedy dude, a dude with a lot of foot speed. And I think he's going to complement Lonzo Ball and Zion in that fast-paced play that I think best suits that team. Yeah. Yep. Look out for the Pelicans getting better and starting to establish that speed is best for Lonzo Ball. LeVar's been telling us for a long time his kids play best when they play fast. If you got players that can throw the ball to full court, they will give you that 7 seconds or less type of play. Lonzo has yet to really display that, but if Zion comes back fully healthy, they work this other kid into the equation, figure out what they're going to do with Bledsoe, who can also run really, really fast. They got a fast-paced team that I think Lonzo can really excel in orchestrating. So I'd like to see them do something about getting some more shooting. I don't know if J.J. Redick is coming back or not, but I do think the Pelicans have some pieces that if they maneuver them properly, they can find a cohesive roster. They're going to have to figure out what they want to do, though, because they can't have all these guys. Josh Hart's still there. They got a lot of guards, but when they figure out what they're doing, figure out if Brandon Ingram's coming back or not, I think they have the makings of a decent young team. So we'll see. And what else? There's so much to talk about. I'm sure I'll make another video. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.